you heard the latest news? Kind of sad, Lorelai and Max.
What about them?
The wedding's off.
What happened?
You know, I don't really know.
I just finished season 2, episode 4, The Road to Harvard, and this is pretty much the aftermath episode of Lorelai deciding that she does not want to marry Max. So my guy Max did not make an appearance this episode, which is kind of sad, but one of you guys let me know that he does pop up 3 more times, so I get to see him 3 times before he's completely gone for good. So thank you for letting me know that. So I'm not as heartbroken as I would be. So the big thing in this episode is Lorelai and Rory, they are on a road trip, and they basically end up at Harvard. One of my favorite parts about this episode is you kind of get to see Lorelai really be a mom and kind of distinguish between being the best friend of Rory. Like there's this scene when they're at the bed and breakfast and they're like both on the bed and Rory wants to talk about what happened with Max and why Lorelai isn't marrying Max, and Lorelai's like, okay, we're friends, but right now I'm your mom and you're gonna listen to me and I don't want to talk about it. Like she uses the mom card and separates like their relationship, and that was kind of like cool to me because I know growing up my mom was always like, I'm not one of your little friends. So she would always separate the friend and the mom, and so that's kind of what Lorelai did in this episode. And Rory's like, but I'm supposed to be your best friend, and Lorelai's like, yeah, if we're going to a concert you're my best friend. When it comes to my life, you're not old enough yet, you're not involved in that part. And so she makes that distinction, and I just think that's kind of cool because I kind of feel like that's how it should be. Like, yeah, you can be friends with your kid when they're more adult, but when they're high school age, like, yeah, you can be friends, but you still got to lay down the law and be a parent as well. That's my thoughts. But yeah, so I really like that scene. And I just kind of think it's cool. They, as part of their road trip, they're like, they stop by this place where it's nothing but nuts. And I was like, are there actually places like that where you can get any type of nut you want? Like, that just seems so cool. And I thought it was cool that Rory finally got to go to Harvard. And you just see as they're like walking around how Rory would fit in perfectly there, how she would just blend in and how it would be a good spot. So it's kind of like you got to see what it would look like if Rory goes to Harvard like in the next year. And so that's kind of exciting because surprisingly Rory has never been to Harvard, which is kind of wild. The thing that's different in the show is because I know when I was headed to college, we started doing college trips. Like it was like my sophomore year. Like we were doing it ahead of time, so I knew what schools I wanted to apply to. I kind of got an idea what schools I want. Like we were going to schools, visiting them. And Rory and Lorelai, they kind of waited to the last minute to go to Harvard. My 2 cents is if Rory has been wanting to go to Harvard all her life, and I would have like taken my daughter there as early as I could have, rather than waiting until like maybe a year until she goes to college. Like, oh, let's go to Harvard now, and it's a surprise trip, nothing's planned, and yeah. So I think that part's kind of cool just because you get to see Rory in her element. And then you also kind of see Lorelai kind of get to see what college is like because you have to remember she didn't go to college. So this is kind of new to her too. So it's kind of like she's getting to experience it. And she kind of has her moments where she kind of feels like she's college age. Like she gets hit on by a college student and like kind of like tries to blend in to kind of get the experience that Lorelai never got to have because she was pregnant with Rory and then ended up going to work to make sure she could provide for her daughter. Yeah, overall, I like this episode. It's just kind of like, overall, I like this episode. It ended with them coming back to Stars Hollow. Miss Patty has told everyone about the breakup, so everyone's like giving Lorelai well wishes, and she gets to talk to Luke a little bit, and you can tell, I also, the thing I like about this is when Miss Patty has told the whole town about the breakup between Max and Lorelai, but Luke has not been told because, as Suki describes it, he's been a loner. He's been kind of like in a mood. And so Suki's the one that tells him. And as soon as she tells him, he does a 180 and he's like cheerful. He's like, free coffee for everyone. Kurt, you can stay however long you want. Like, he's so happy that Lorelai is not getting married. And just at the end of the episode, you have the scene with Lorelai and Luke kind of like talking and everything. And Luke just seems so happy. Kind of about change too, because at the end of the episode, Lorelai is like, I'm ready to move forward on our end, because her and Suki have wanted to start their own end like for years and years. So Lorelai's like, okay, let's kind of start moving, because she kind of needs something different in her life. You had this big breakup and she's like, okay, I need to move forward and kind of figure this out. So yes, I enjoyed it and I'm kind of excited to see where the next episode takes me. So I will see y'all soon for the next one.
This has been another episode of Real Talk with Noelle.